Now, I could go all the way around that circle in one sentence, but that's a pretty boring story. Walter went up into a cloud, and then he fell down in his rain, and then he went into a stream, and it was a hot sunny day, so he went back up in a cloud. That's not a very good story. What makes a good story? Detail, detail, detail. What makes good science? Detail, detail, detail. What makes good photography? Detail, detail, detail. So as I'm telling this story, I want you to see the pictures in your mind. And then later this week, look for all the different shapes that water takes. You see any living body? It is a body of water. That hosta leaf is a body of water. You are a body of water. You're more water than mud. Actually, if I could take myself apart, Shazam. If I were a magician, I'm not. But if I could take myself apart and I had 4 buckets, I need big buckets for me. There'd be 3 buckets of water to 1 bucket of skin and bones. You are 3 buckets of water to 1 bucket of skin and bones. So where did that water come from? Where does that water go when you're done with it? I'd like to tell you that story. This is a story I wrote with the help of a good friend of mine. A story that begins at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. Can you all close your eyes for just a moment and imagine you are at the bottom of the ocean? I want you to close your eyes because it's dark down there. Imagine you are a mile under the surface of the ocean. Imagine water to the left, water to the right, water up above, water down below. You can open your eyes. Once in a while, a glow-in-the-dark fish goes by. That's pretty cool. But the truth is, at the bottom of the ocean, not much happens. So Walter, the little drop of water, he slept a lot. And when he woke up, he never remembered his dreams, but he knew what he dreamed about. Because he had one wish, one desire, one thing he wanted more than anything, and that was adventure! And little did he know his adventure was about to begin. Because at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, or at the top of the ocean, there was a giant sperm whale. Now, whales are mammals like you and I. They breathe air. Everyone take a great big deep breath. Go ahead. Hold it. If you're really good, you might be able to hold your breath for 1 minute. But a whale can hold its breath for an hour. This whale took a great big deep breath. And he swam down in the darkness of the ocean. The whale can't see where he's going, so how does he find his way? Anybody?
Echolocation.
Give this gentleman a round of applause. That's exactly right. Echolocation. They sing to find their way. Well, here's my impersonation of my favorite whale song. Listen and repeat. Can you try that? That song goes out and it echoes back, and they can locate things by listening to that echo. Well, this whale heard something long and skinny, more than 8 legs. It wasn't an octopus. It was a giant squid. The whale started chasing the squid. The squid squirted black ink in the water, so the whale couldn't see him. Whale didn't have to see him. The whale could hear, jump, jump! The whale caught the squid. The squid wrapped his tentacles around. They were wrestling and fighting, and guess what? Walter, the drop of water, was caught in the middle. Jump, jump! When the whale swallowed the squid, Walter went inside the whale. Now, the whale had been underwater for quite some time. So when the whale came to the surface, psh, you know how whales breathe out of holes on top of their head? You know you breathe out of holes in your head, but they're on the front. So next time somebody says, you got a hole in your head, you can say, yes, I have 7 of them, and so do you. But how many of you have seen your breath on a cold morning? What you actually see is invisible vapor, water, condensing. So next time you see your breath on a cold morning, you can tell all your friends, I am Cloudmaker. And it's true. And when whales breathe out, water comes out of their head too. Psh, Walter came out of the top of the whale and splash, he landed on the surface of the ocean. And he went whoop, one side of a wave and down the other. Whoop, one side of the wave. Can you do the wave all together? Ready? Whoop, and down. Whoop, woohoo! Better than a roller coaster at Six Flags Over Anywhere. Walter loved doing the wave. But when he came to the top of the next wave, he saw little droplets of water leaping in the air. He wanted to know where they were going. He went from the crest to the trough to the crest of the next wave. And when he arrived at the crest of that wave, Walter leapt into the air. Can you say evaporation? When water becomes vapor, it becomes invisible. There's water in the air right now. And Walter started floating higher and higher, higher and higher. Now, a moment ago, he was a mile under the surface of the ocean. A few moments later, he was a mile above. And he entered a river of air. Yes, there are rivers up there. They call them the jet stream because that's where jets fly. And Walter was pushed around the earth in that jet stream. He went from the Pacific Ocean over North America. That's where you live. And then he went over the Atlantic Ocean. And then he went over England and Scotland in the former Soviet Union. Had changed that part of the story recently. And then he came back over the Pacific Ocean. He circled the earth several times. But then when he came over Canada, he got kind of cold. And as you know, cold things sink, warm things rise. When you boil water, where does the steam go? Up. But Walter wasn't hot steam. He was a cold air mass. And not only did he sink down closer to the earth, he moved south towards the equator. Just then, there was warm, moist air rising up off the Gulf of Mexico. And not only was this warm, moist air rising up like steam, it was moving north towards the North Pole. And just then, this cold air mass met this warm air mass. And when they meet, they do a little dance. La cucaracha, la cucaracha. I think you call it weather. Just then, as this cold air mass was pushing down, this warm air pushing up, they push against each other, and eventually, they give way. And they started to spin. But Walter realized he wasn't alone. Zoop! A drop of water stuck to his side. Zoop! One stuck to the other side. Zoop! One stuck to the front. Zoop! One stuck to the back. Can you say condensation? There goes a little body of water. I think you call it a nuthatch. When those little droplets of water come together, they make a cloud. Think about it. Sunny day today. But when you see a big black cloud, that is a lake. There's enough water in that cloud to fill a lake. That is a lake floating in the air. And Walter wasn't just any ordinary cloud. He was a cumulostratus cloud. He was a mesocyclonic cumulostratus cloud. I think you call it a tornado. He started to spin. Winds 140 miles an hour. I think that's an F4. Ripping trees out of the ground, tossing cars into the air like little toys, ripping the roofs off of houses. And Walter, he passed the dew point, and he started to fall. Can you say precipitation?
Precipitation.
But as he started to fall, he was in the upper atmosphere, he froze and became a little ball of sleet. And as he was falling, a warm gust of air blew him back up into the air. And as he went back up, he met other drops of water that stuck to him. And when he got into the upper atmosphere, he froze. And he became a little ball of hail. And he started to fall. Whoa! But just then, another warm gust of air blew him back up. And he met more drops of water. And he became a big ball of hail. Whoa! And another warm gust of air blew him back up. And he met more moisture. How many of you ever found golf ball size hail? Next time you find a hail ball, collect them and throw them in the freezer. Parental supervision. Get a mom or teacher. Cut it in half with a serrated knife. You can actually count the rings, like counting rings on a tree, on that little hail ball with a magnifying glass. And you can tell how many times it went back up in the air. Whoa! Ding! He landed on the hood of your dad's car.
That's Porsche.
Your dad's Porsche was dented. Your dad was so mad. But because the car had been running, the engine was warm, and it was, after all, a warm summer day. It wasn't long before that ball of hail started to melt. And he actually went from being a gas to a liquid to a solid, the 3 states of matter in a matter of moments. And he ran off your dad's Porsche into the ground, and he trickled down a little wormhole, and along came a worm, and the worm drank him in, and he went out the other end, and you can imagine what happened there in the middle, and he went down underground, and there was a great big white oak tree, like this white oak tree right here in front of us. And you see how far out the branches go? That's about how far out the roots go. So most of us have that tree's roots underneath us. And those roots are like straws. They drink in water and minerals. And Walter went up the trunk of that tree. Right underneath the bark, there's thin veins called the cork cambia. And just underneath that are xylem and phloem cells. It's like a straw. And Walter went up through the trunk, out through a branch, and into a leaf. And when he got into the leaf, he found a little tiny hole in the bottom of the leaf. Can you say stomata? The stomata are little holes in the bottom of the leaf where a leaf breathes. You take a deep breath. You have holes in your face. They have holes under their leaves. And Walter saw little tiny droplets of water jumping out of that hole. What's it called again? The stomata. And he said, hey, where you go? Ah, the next one jumped out. Hey, where you go? Ah, the next one jumped out. How rude. Only one way to find out where they're going. Walter got into line. He's bumped along, bumped along, bumped along. And next thing you know, he's standing next to that little hole in the bottom of a leaf. What's it called? Ah! He got pushed out. Can you say my favorite word in the whole story? Can you say evapotranspiration? Evapotranspiration. Time out. Anybody know what that word means?
Evaporation.
If Evaporation is part of it. That's very good. When you find a big science word you don't know, take it apart. Look at the parts. Evaporation is part of it. What's the second part? Evapotranspiration. Say it out loud. Transpiration, like transportation. Actually, through evaporation, they transport and transpire. They move minerals. But Walter went back into the air that night. Brrr. It got kind of cold. No, not winter, not an ice age. It was just a cold front moving through. And the moisture in the air condensed, not as a cloud. This time it was fog. How many of you have been out, especially late in the summer, early fall, and there's a thick fog? That's actually a cloud at ground level. And that cloud, that condensation, Walter formed on a tip of a green leaf of grass. And he ran down that leaf of grass back into that worm tunnel, another one. Back down underground. Hold on! Right here underneath where you're sitting, there is underground water. Hold on! There's river and streams under your house, your school, your farm. There are rivers and streams under most of Illinois. Can you say aquifer?
Aquifer.
He collected into a body of water. And just then, he came under the Sun Foundation. And just then, some counselor said, make sure you drink plenty of water. It's a hot day. And this very intelligent student had just emptied his or her water bottle. We're going to say her water bottle. And so she went to the faucet and she turned it on and she filled her water bottle. And guess who came out? Walter went inside her water bottle. And it was a hot sunny day, so Walter went inside her belly, inside her blood streams. Think about it. You have streams and rivers inside of you. Walter went into her heart. From her heart, she was pumped into the lungs. From the lungs, she picked up oxygen and went back to the heart. From the heart, she went into the body, body to the heart, heart to the lungs, lungs to the heart, heart to the body, body to the heart, heart to the lungs, lungs to the heart, heart to the body. That's the way the blood goes in your body. Can you say that with me? We're going to start slow, and then we're going to speed up. All together, ready? Heart to the lungs, lungs to the heart, heart to the body, body to the heart, heart to the lungs, lungs to the heart, heart to the body, body to the heart, heart to the lungs, lungs to the heart, heart to the body, body to the heart, heart to the lungs, lungs to the heart, heart. But faster than that, actually. When you're running, your blood is moving 60 to 80 miles an hour. Walter was rushing through her body. She was out playing tag. It was, I think, snakes in the grass. Hear it? But she worked up a sweat. Ew.
She sweated out.
You're leaking. All of you are leaking right now. I can see the perspiration on your foreheads. Ew. And if you had a magnifying glass and you look real close, you're full of holes. They're not stomata, but they're like that. You're breathing through your skin.
They're called pores.
They're called pores. And Walter came out onto her skin, and just then a little breeze came by. And can you say evaporation?
Evaporation.
Walter went back into the air. Time out. I'm going to stop there. So I'm going to ask you to move your chair over and join this group. You're going to turn your chair around and join that group. You guys at the table are already a group. Somebody be brave. Walter's in the air. See if you can take Walter around the water cycle and at camp if you want, or take him home if you want, or take him to some other part of the world if you want. So all together, can you say it with me? Evaporation, ready? Evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection. One more time on your own. Say it on your own. Ready?
Evaporation, condensation, precipitation.
So in your circle,